Henry Bolton is with us now. He's an international border control expert, and we're going to talk to him in a second about Sweden recording the lowest number of asylum applications since 1997. But just before we do, let me just tell you about this particular specimen. His name is Dorian Puka. He is 28. He's been jailed and deported twice for burglaries. He posted a picture of himself celebrating the New Year in a nightclub while smoking a shisha pipe alongside a belly dancer. He is a convicted burglar who cannot be deported. He has taunted the Home Office by posting Happy New Year messages from a London nightclub. It comes 3 months after he posted a series of videos of himself driving a £300,000 Ferrari. I'm sure he acquired that entirely legitimately, on the streets of London on his TikTok and Instagram accounts, as well as images of himself with dozens of Rolex watches and other expensive cars. The Home Office is powerless to deport him because he's claimed asylum, and officials cannot remove him until his case is fully considered, a process that could take months because of the huge backlog in cases. Puka also taunted Nigel Farage by posting a picture of himself at a dinner table, eating and drinking, with a photoshopped image of the Reform Party leader giving the thumbs up. Mr Farage described him as a proper wrong'un who was walking all over the UK authorities. I mean, that is an absolute classic case of someone who should be on a one-way ticket to Albania, immediately paid for by himself, and serving a sentence for burglary. He's been deported twice already, yet he keeps coming back. Henry, how do we get rid of these scumbags?
Well, firstly, we've already got an agreement with Albania. We need to... There's a whole issue around the European Convention of Human Rights and precedents from the European Court of Human Rights, which is then applied in the UK courts, which creates all number of obstacles to deportations, not just in this case, but it's a frequent occurrence. When there is a case like this, my belief is that even if, for legal reasons, perhaps diplomatic, perhaps logistical reasons, it's going to take some time to remove somebody, and we need to ensure that we've got the facility legally to do that, leave the ECHR, and amend UK law to ensure that we've got the right tools. We need to detain these people. It is absolutely ridiculous that seasoned criminals are able to flaunt the law, and in doing so, making themselves, if you like, role models within the criminal fraternity of their own communities, their diaspora communities here in the UK, and in this case back in Albania. We are through this incompetence, we are fueling criminal behaviour. Because this man is looking cool, he's looking good, he's looking trendy. That's why he's doing it. And I think, we're mugs for allowing it to continue.
We are mugs, and actually, even within the ECHR and even actually within the EU, there is an example of a country that seems to have got a grip on this. That's Sweden. It was in crisis not long ago after taking on far more refugees than it was able to handle. But its Prime Minister announced recently he had not just cut net migration, but reversed it. How do you manage this?
Yeah. Well, in the way that I'm talking about, to a large extent, the ECHR, which Sweden is a member, is a signatory to the European Convention on Human Rights. Sweden is basically saying, look, we're going to play the national security card and the national interest card, which the European Convention of Human Rights allows. If it is in the national interest or in the interest of public safety, then there is a case within the European Convention on Human Rights to deport people. The problem here is in the UK that our law is so complicated, so messed up, and each different piece of legislation...
Thank you, Tony Blair, for bringing in the ECHR as part of our laws as well, which lots of other countries don't have. So we've hamstrung ourselves thanks to his constitutional vandalism.
We absolutely have, you're right. And every piece of legislation that comes in seems to be, when I look at it from a borders point of view or an immigration point of view, it seems to be a response to a particular problem. So a particular law is drafted to address one particular problem. That's fine, but then when it's not integrated with other legislation that's already existing, you create confusion, you create a lack of clarity, you create loopholes, and these are being exploited. And then add to that before we deport anybody presently we allow people to appeal against their deportation. And when that happens, in 21% of the case, this was last year's, or the figures from 2023, I don't know what they are for 2024, but in 2023, the Home Office lawyers failed to even attend the appeal hearings for deportations. So, of course, the court then, the default position is to grant the appeal. So we from start to finish, through the legislative tools that are available, through the way that those legislative tools are put together, to the political will and the resources and the if you like commitment to the Home Office to do the job, there are failures throughout. Now it's a dull, boring, laborious piece of work to go through this and sort it all out. But by God, it needs to be done, because what is happening as a result of these failures is that we've got people like this individual, we've got other people who are convicted rapists, convicted burglars, people who've committed GBH and ABH, people who've been drug stealing and so on our streets, who should not be here. They have not been given leave to remain. They are here unlawfully or illegally, and they need to be sent back to whence they came. Now, in the case of Albania, it's easy. We have to acknowledge that the Conservative government did, although a flawed plan, did have the option of sending Afghans, Syrians and Iraqis to Rwanda. That is no longer an option because the Labour government has cancelled Rwanda. So there is nowhere to send people who are from countries that we have no diplomatic relations with and no logistical ability to reach. So we can't. How do we send them there? We can't land an aircraft in Kabul airport. Now, it can be done, but then that's another thing. You know, you can dance with the devil, the Taliban, or whoever it might be, or the regime in Tehran. That's a diplomatic question,
and that's a whole other topic and a whole other issue. Especially Syria is an interesting one as well, with the Islamists who've just taken over there.
But Sweden and Denmark is following Sweden on this, are being very effective. They are in clamping down on benefits, on leave to remain. So you know, in this country, if you're here for 5 years. Let's say, you've been working here for 5 years or whatever. It is a very easy process to then get leave to remain for good.
Yeah.
And it's not a difficult process at that point to get a British passport. We are far too lax in this sense, and we allow people to get themselves embedded in society to the extent that it's very difficult for us legally to extract them if we no longer want them here. So it's a mess, and as I say, it's a laborious piece of work, but if the Home Office doesn't want to do it, then I'll do it along with a couple of other people.
Henry, good for you for volunteering your services there. Henry Bolton, international border security expert.